Ivan's like, I don't reject God, I just reject his body.
The story of gods has always been the story of people. Every divine figure across cultures reflects the minds and needs of those who created them. When people were frightened by thunder, they invented thunder gods. When they saw the sun as essential for life, they created sun gods. Each deity was a mirror held up to human fears, desires, and limitations. The idea of God has never stood apart from human imagination. It has always been tied to what people needed at a given time. If we look closely, gods are exaggerated human qualities projected into the sky. Ancient people struggled with survival, so they wanted powerful protectors. They wanted cosmic parents to watch over them when their own families couldn't guarantee safety. The god.
Wow, lot of assumed intent here, by the way, but okay. Bryce, $5. Thank you, Bryce. P1, Jimbob has bad eyesight. P2, Christ does not. Conclusion, Jimbob is not Christ-like. Wow.
Gods they invented reflected that desire. Some gods were stern fathers, others nurturing mothers, some warriors, others tricksters. But they were always familiar in some way. They acted like people, felt anger like people, and loved or hated like people. Even when called infinite, eternal, and perfect, these gods still behaved with the same jealousy, pride, or favoritism that we see in human rulers. The human projection becomes obvious when we compare different cultures. The Norse gods resembled fierce warriors because the people who created them valued battle and survival in a harsh climate. The Greek gods embodied beauty, rivalry, and political scheming because those reflected Greek society. In parts of Africa, gods were tied to rivers and harvests, directly reflecting daily dependence on nature. In every case, the gods were shaped by the culture that imagined them. If there were truly one timeless universal deity, the descriptions would not be so radically different from
No, that's a fallacy.
place to place.
No, that's a fallacy. Because just because people conceive of types of gods and they vary in their sort of like, let's say their nature, how they're described, who they are, they vary in who they are, who they're referred to as. It doesn't follow that they're false. All of them are false, or even one of them's false from that position. That's actually not a logical argument. In fact, you could just reverse this entire argument and say, well, across time, human beings have the intuition toward God. They have the intuition toward God existing. Even if they were wrong about describing him, they have it in them to apprehend a God, a knowable God. You know, he's just showing that's a projection. Well, you wouldn't know if it's a projection or not. You have no you have no criteria. How do you know they're not discerning something versus projecting it? And we'll get into why this, whatever this guy's argument's going to be, we're going to watch as how it has to apply to other things he holds as real, like truth. Truth is the main one I go to. Any argument against God's existence, any argument I found this to be true in every time I test it. Any argument against God's existence, once you get the criteria for why they're rejecting God, they have to reject truth itself on the same condition.
The idea of one God ruling over everything is simply another projection. When societies grew larger and more centralized, people needed one unifying power above all others. Many small tribal gods became one high god. In the Middle East, this process took the form of elevating one tribal deity into the ultimate god of heaven and earth. That was not the discovery of some hidden truth, but a political and psychological necessity. A single god reflected the growing desire for a single ruler, a single law, and a single unifying story for a diverse people. When philosophers began thinking more deeply, God evolved again. In Greek philosophy, God became abstract, less like a person and more like a principle. But even this was projection. Philosophers valued reason, so they projected reason itself into the idea of divinity. God became pure thought.
Notice how he also grants himself other minds in this critique. Like, for instance, he holds that humans project a God into the ether and the sky or whatever that's personable or just conceptual. He covers both. But the thing is, why is it the case that you don't hold the view that humans project a mind or a being in another being? You just grant yourself that there's beings and persons? You know what I mean? So he doesn't get really rigorous with this. And this is common for the atheists. They grant themselves personhood of beings, mind of beings. They grant it to themselves. They don't think that's a projection, you know? They don't think for a second that everything they think is another being out there is just a projection. They don't have full access to the personhood. And coincidentally, from an empirical position, they don't. If there's a thing called a person, a personhood, that's not identical to the machinery of a human, that there's a being in there with idiosyncrasies and energies, different ways of talking and thinking and being. If that's a thing, the empiricist has no reason to believe that exists at all. Total projection from their view. Not based in empiricism, not found in nature. The only thing found in nature from their view is matter and motion. These like floppy things we call humans who are making sounds out of different holes of their body at any given point, who are walking around, doing stuff, moving things. That's really all there is from that naturalist position. But notice that they grant themselves philosophy, universals, particulars, laws of thought, knowledge, mind, the past, the present, the future, induction, science, meaning, information. All of it would be also a projection.
Pure order, pure logic. Later, in Christianity, God once again took a very human form in the person of Jesus. That shows how flexible the projection can be. When people need intimacy, God becomes a person who suffers and feels pain. When they need authority, God becomes a king.
Isn't that funny? He just rejects the continuation of what was early Judaism, the prophecy of Christ. So he includes it all, right? So it's not like there was a man who was really charismatic and cool, and then there was like this like myth around him, a legend around him, and then he's saying, oh, see, there was a cool guy, a Russell Brand of the year 0 to 33. They needed him. They wanted the cool guy. Well, no, I mean, if he's a product of, not to say he's an actual product, but if he's part of a previous prophecy, what's the reasoning for the prophecy? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You don't need a prophecy if all you're trying to do is find a dude who's your leader. So it doesn't make sense here with Christianity. It doesn't make sense. You could just skip that. Why would you wait around and then reject the prophecy, by the way? Why would you say the Messiah, it's prophesied, he will come, and then shows up and then they reject it? So he doesn't have any, like, this guy's argument doesn't actually apply to the Jews who rejected Jesus Christ. It doesn't apply. Why would they do that if they want that? I've gotten used to calling it the Israelite religion instead of Judaism. Yeah, that's fair enough.
When they need order, God becomes logic itself. Psychology helps explain this pattern. Humans are storytellers. We interpret everything in terms of intention and personality. When thunder roars, we think something or someone caused it. When disease spreads...
Here, I can do the same thing to you, guy. Atheists who do overly serious presentations about how theism and God is a projection, they're just counter-projecting, see? We can do this too, guy. Oh, you see these guys? What a phenomenon we're seeing. These guys make videos about how God's made up. And you know what it is? They need to project that God doesn't exist. You see, it's a psychological feature. See how easy it is to do that, guy? Just assert a bunch of intentions onto you. Do some armchair psychologizing. So simple. Is that all we need to do? No, well, you're doing this because you need to. We don't know if God actually exists now. We just know that you need to believe he doesn't to cope. The same way you think we need God to cope. You need not God to cope. Who wins? Stalemate. It's a stalemate. It's just like a form of heady gaslighting.
We imagine invisible agents behind it. This natural tendency to see intention everywhere is called agency detection. It was useful in evolution because assuming a predator was nearby was safer than ignoring it. But it also meant people projected intention where there was none.
Like you just did?
That habit eventually became belief in God.
It's amazing how he doesn't apply his own summary to himself in real time. It's wild. He says humans are storytellers without realizing he's telling a story. Yeah, I know. It's funny. He's like, I'm telling a really serious story about the past, using everything I think I know about humans. And by my own metric, by my own standard and reasoning, I too am now telling a story that I don't know if is true. Not sure, but if I nail the voice and I get a good microphone, maybe I'll get away with it.
Odds. Children offer a small-scale example. Young children naturally see intention behind natural events. They think the sun shines because someone wants it to shine, or that rivers flow because they are meant to help people. This is not taught at first. It comes from the way the human mind works. Religion takes that intuitive tendency and builds whole systems out of it. God is the
autonomy right here, the autonomous reasoning.
The ultimate invisible agent projected onto the world. Another projection comes from mortality. Humans know they will die, but they struggle to accept it.
Oh gosh, this is so low tier, dude. Cold reason. This is so low tier. Atheists know they will die, so they struggle to accept that there's a God judging them. See how easy it was? Look at how easy that is. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Seems like we can do the same thing you're doing. All we need to do is come up with some sort of reasonable story and some intent, and then just attribute it to you. How much time do you think he wasted typing in the ChatGPT image generator for the crappy AI? Yeah, that was most of the work.
Cultures everywhere have invented gods who promise life after death, heavens, and underworlds. These ideas are projections of the human refusal to accept finality.
That's question begging. You don't know that finality exists. You're just assuming it in your criticism, dork.
When people imagine a God who offers eternal life, they are expressing their own hunger for survival beyond the grave. When they picture gods who punish or reward, they are projecting their own sense of justice into the cosmos. The God of the Bible, for example.
Does he have anything other than speculative psychologizing? Does he have anything other than reporting on unassumed thought process someone has? Does he have anything? Is this it? Is this where they're at now? You're just thinking that because I think I know what you're thinking and why you're thinking. So when they think like this, the reason they think like this is because of this. So the intention of all these people thinking about God is probably what I'm thinking about them thinking. Trust me, bro. It's all the entire thing is fallacious so far. It's 5 minutes in. 5 minutes of pure. How does he do this for 30 minutes?
Reflects the psychology of a tribal people who valued obedience, loyalty, and punishment for outsiders. He rewards his chosen group and destroys others. That projection mirrors the tribal mindset of the people who created him. Later, when the religion spread, the same God was reimagined as universal, loving, and merciful.
No, that's false. Loving, it could be very much loving and merciful to destroy a nation. So notice how they make these distinctions and they don't have a standard. For instance, Christianity, if you've read the book, God is a man of war. It's not like this nice hippy-dippy Christ figure doing hacky sack in the piazza. You know what I mean? That's only one side of a Christian view. And that really has been sort of perverted by Protestantism and Niceanity. this concept where it's like, well, no, just do whatever you want, honey. That's fine. Oh, you want a boyfriend? Oh, you want to open the marriage? Well, I want to be loving. I would like to be loving about it.
That too was projection, an update to suit new needs in larger societies. The human brain has also been studied in connection with religious belief.
Oh, here we go.
Neuroscientists have shown that the same
Which neuroscientists? I just love the plural, the monolithic take. Neuroscientists have shown. Really?
parts of the brain that activate when we think about real people also activate when people think about God.
Wow, amazing. He's figured it out. You guys, neuroscientists discovered that there's a part of the brain that activates when you think about people that also activates when you think about God. Well, I'm sorry, dude. From your own view, the concept of the person that you're calling real isn't actually real, the real person. So there's no such thing as real people from a purely neurological position. Do you understand this? He doesn't understand this. From a purely materialist position, you don't have access to the real person. You have a projection of the real person, especially if you're going to go in the brain. Is the real person in the brain, bro? Is a real person in the brain? No. By your own admission, it would be a projection. So real person, what is this distinction you have? Real person. Where is this real person? It's in the brain. I studied it. The neuroscientists studied real people in the brain. No, that would be a projection, just as illusory as God from your view. Just as illusory.
When believers pray, they use brain networks that are designed for social interaction. The brain is treating God as another person, not as an abstract force. This makes sense if God is a projection of human social instincts.
It also makes sense if he's a person by your own reasoning. It's actually consistent with Christianity that the part of your brain lights up when you're thinking about God as a person and you just as real as a person in reality, right? That's good. That's actually a point in our direction, not a point against us.
Gods also carry human flaws. Many sacred texts describe gods as jealous, angry, or vengeful. These are not qualities of perfection. They are qualities of people.
How do you know what the quality of a perfection is, bro, without presupposing God? Ruh-roh. It sounds like, Mr. Cold Reason, that you just invented something called perfection that you have no justification for. Is that a projection? Did you just project perfection, ironically, in a video about humans projecting things that don't exist? Interesting. Very interesting.
Projection explains this contradiction. If humans were creating gods, of course those gods would inherit human flaws. A truly perfect being would have no reason to be jealous or wrathful. Yet religious scriptures are full of these traits because...
What do you mean? Why are you assuming wrath can't be perfect? Where'd you get that from, bro?
They are written by people, not by perfection itself. Even the idea of God as loving is projection. Humans crave love, and...
Another contradiction. See this? You see this? What did I say at the beginning? These types of people, in their argumentation against God, they appeal to things that are just as fictional under their view, but they pretend they're real. Humans crave love. What the hell's that? What do you mean, love? What's that?
Jimbob, if someone is stubborn enough to accept atheism without accepting nihilism, they will never accept God. This is just a YouTube drawing red string through times in history to explain his own stubborn belief.
Yeah, I agree. So he says humans crave love. Okay, really? Is that true? Well, I guess if I'm going to be consistent, love is also projection. Yeah, it's just a chemical reaction from your view, right?
And the thought of cosmic love.
Humans crave love equals humans crave God, so he just argued for Christianity. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird he thinks this is going well.
Love gives comfort, but the reality of life often does not reflect this. Natural disasters kill innocent people.
Aldora says love was seen as an illness in ancient times. Interesting. I guess he's picking and choosing.
Diseases wipe out children, and suffering is everywhere. The idea that a loving God is behind it all is not consistent with the evidence.
Another thing assumed that under his view is a projection. What is suffering? You notice how they use all these metaphysics? They appeal to all of these immaterial concepts that have no basis in reality. Suffering? Excuse me? Suffering? Where? Is the suffering in the room? Oh, look at that gazelle being eaten alive by the lion. Look at the suffering. I don't see that. I see a lion eating a gazelle. Where, can you point out where the suffering is? What do you mean? Look at it. I don't see where it is. What is it? Is it the sound? Is it the sound? You're playing word games. For Nashville trip, thank you so much. $5. We're at 15 of 50, y'all. Help me out. Help my trip to Nashville. Flying out there and debating 2 people. Should be good. Send me on my way. This summer I did a traveling farm tour into the giant Jew camps upstate New York. Really opened my eyes. I have some funny stories. Wonder if I ever went there. I grew up kind of upstate. I get yelled at by other upstaters, and they're like, "You're not upstate."
It is consistent, however, with projection. People projecting their need for love onto the universe, even when reality shows indifference. The diversity of gods throughout history shows another key point. If one true God existed, cultures across the world would have independently arrived at the same concept.
No, that doesn't follow either. That doesn't follow. This guy is not too good at thinking. That's like if there is a true theorem that exists, right, in mathematics, then the Papua New Guinea tribe should arrive at that theorem at some point. What? No. That's not what determines something's true. Is the time in which different people arrive at it. That's not how that works. Red bar's watching. That would be funny.
Instead, we see thousands of gods, each reflecting their culture's values. This diversity makes sense if gods are human projections. It makes no sense if one universal deity is revealing itself consistently.
So far the argumentation is it makes no sense. Top tier stuff.
The projections even change within one religion over time. Early Christianity emphasized the coming end of the world. Later, Christianity emphasized moral order and eternal life. Modern Christianity often emphasizes personal fulfillment and emotional connection. Each version of God reflects the changing needs of society. Projection is the simplest explanation for why God evolves with culture. Even atheists sometimes project human qualities onto the universe.
It's actually the opposite. Christianity, the nature of God being unchanging, is, and the sort of the plight of being human, is consistent regardless of civilization. So there might be topical differences like scarcity, starvation, famine. The problems change, but the experience of what it is and what it means to be human from a Christian view maintain. And it's this. What it means to be human is to be born into a post-fall system where you're called to be not of the world while being in it. That you're called to some type of movement toward God, theosis, humility, sacrifice, love. These are things that are unchanging across culture. So the idea that that love, even if, like someone said, was frowned upon, the concept of love is a through line. even if it was frowned upon in a certain era. It doesn't matter. The thing itself, truth, love, philosophy, family, anger, resentment, forgiveness, all of these things show up cross culture, cross civilization. So notice how he frames this critique as, well, different gods show up across culture, and different, iterations of God and names of God show up across culture. But he doesn't look at what? What do we look at in TAG? The transcendentals. How is it that the transcendentals show up across culture, regardless if they name God incorrectly?
Speaking of fate, destiny, or karma, this shows how deeply projection is built into human psychology. We want to believe the universe cares about us. We want to think our struggles have cosmic meaning, but the evidence shows the universe is indifferent. Stars explode, species go extinct, and entire civilizations vanish without any higher plan.
Question begging.
Meaning is not out there waiting to be found. It is created by us.
That's self-refuting. If meaning is created by us, then the statement, it's created by us, is also made up, and we have no reason to believe it, buddy. This is an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to humans.